Hey everybody, welcome back to Visual Novel Book Club. I'm your pal Slow Beef, of course, my good friend Rosella.
Hello.
My good friend Jim.
Hey everybody.
My good friend Polahoko.
Yea, verily, forsooth.
My good friend Turbo C.
Yo, what up?
I don't know why that made me laugh. My good friend orenronen.
Good evening.
Hey, the gang's all here. So with that, we can once again, we're doing it. It's happening. It's Ace Attorney Chronicles Resolve to Case 3 Trial. What did we cover again?
This is Trial Part 2 and 3.
Yeah, case 2, I hope.
Case 2, not case 3.
Yes, Case 2, that's right.
Yeah,
yes, Case 2.
That's like speed reading.
I went a little ahead. But anyway, so what the hell, what's going on here? We're Natsume is on trial for his life again.
Is attempted murder still a capital crime?
I mean, if your society is racist enough.
I don't think so, because it doesn't, at the end of this trial, doesn't seem like someone is actually going to be killed for it. So it's probably not a capital crime.
Well,
Which I'm like, why are we even bothering?
They kind of gloss over it though, because what's the guy from the last one who's like, poverty didn't ruin my father, that kind of thing. Like, he's getting hung. We just haven't really touched it, So
yeah.
I'm not wrong, right? That's happening.
Yeah, no, they established that in the beginning of the first game. All of the murderers are going to be killed.
Yep. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Exactly. All right.
I'm sure it'll be really wacky.
Yeah, I'm sure something funny will happen, but whatever. That's not for us to say. What? Anyway, so okay, what's happening now? What's trial part 2 going on there?
We're continuing where we last left off, where Scotland Yard was going to investigate the tea that was frozen inside of the bars of soap to see if there was poison in there. And I made a call last session, like this is school.
Kind of is.
Where I was fully expecting there to be poison in there, because that would just be the right twist that this game would take. So, but there was actually no poison in there.
Oh, but they have a new bullshit excuse about why Natsume still is the killer.
It really is a bullshit excuse too.
Well, I was getting a little mad at Lord Von Zieks this time, because it seemed like he was just making up bullshit without having any evidence.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's be clear. So they find the tea. They find the only remaining tea, that could be found, because they can't test for trace elements, and that tea is clean. There is no poison in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at that point, you think that it should fall apart.
But what if the tea from someplace else was poisoned?
Oh, the tea that's already gone was poisoned. The magical tea from Fairyland. Ooh.
Didn't they even try to do the, they tried to pull the thing where it's like, well, he used Soseki's tea to make the thing because Soseki didn't drink it right away. And we're like, buddy, we've had these teacups with the tea ring around them for, days now.
Mm-hmm.
You come and pull this weak shit.
Yeah, this is...
Yeah, so they actually get the victim up on the trial stand to testify about what happened. And what was it that he said? He said that...
He says that they poured the cups of tea, and that's when Soseki poured poison just into Shakespeare's cup.
Just into his cup.
And he never drank his own. So later that night, he used Soseki's cup to make the soap coins and drank from his cup, which had the poison in it. And that's...
Right.
Yeah.
Which immediately should fall apart, because at that point, if Soseki only poisoned one tea and didn't poison his own, why would he not drink his tea? You want to drink tea with someone to make them drink it.
Drink tea while it's hot. We keep saying that, Yeah. But, yeah, it's...
That's my catchphrase that I'm always saying as William Shakespeare.
It's like that time you went to Halloween as the drink tea while it's hot guy.
I'm getting a lot of questions about when I drink tea that are being answered by my t-shirt.
Very good. Very good with t-shirt, by the way. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is also a little out of character for Van Zieks, or maybe not just yet, but soon will be.
So what I'm thinking is he came off as kind of an asshole for most of this trial. Except when we get to a point where he's like, okay, so the tea that Soseki brought wasn't poisoned. The tea was never poisoned, but we know for a fact that the victim was poisoned, and Soseki was the only one that visited him, so he had to have done it some other way. Which, what other way? I don't really know. It doesn't matter. He was the only one that could have possibly done it, so he's guilty.
This is very weak sauce in general, but okay, we're gonna go with it for now. So
maybe I'm misremembering our previous reading too, but I thought we didn't know for certain he was poisoned. We just guessed that it was strychnine based off of the symptoms that he had.
I think the medical report always said strychnine, so I guess they did check him and knew.
There were signs of strychnine poisoning, but they don't have a definitive test for it.
Yeah, we didn't know for certain, which I thought it was just going to be like, oh, yeah, it was something else, but we've just left the strychnine as a foregone conclusion at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so let me pull up my summary here because I want to try to remember what happens next.
Yeah, so we countered that by pointing out the thing with the lines on the teacups that shows that Soseki did drink his tea immediately. And that's when Van Zix gets out of line.
Yeah, Van Zix is like, okay, so did you just misremember? Maybe you just forgot that Soseki drank his tea and there was actually some tea left in the pot. That you forgot that, right? And he's like, yeah, I did forget that. That's what happened. And I was just sitting there like, there's no fucking way you would let us get away with that, Zeeks. No way.
That's the thing, too, because, in other trials, Van Zeke seems to kind of help out when he's like, wait, I think Naruhodo's onto something here.
Yeah, in this game, it's like he's just been a big asshole.
He does in this trial, too,
Later.
Yeah, later.
He does later, but at first, it's like he fucking hates us.
Yeah, normally when he gets a liar and stands, it pisses him off.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I got the sort of impression that maybe this was because of his weird Japanese racism that he had as is going on.
Mm-hmm.
That he was really believing that this guy was guilty.
I mean, it could also be he's like, look, this guy's not going to lie about being poisoned. That's weird because he doesn't have the full story in his head yet, Mm-hmm. I guess, maybe.
I mean, the only thing that I can see is that he's operating from the foregone conclusion that he was poisoned. He didn't poison himself. Somebody else did. It had to have been Soseki. So whatever he says on the stand, if it doesn't line up with that, then it's just him misremembering. It's not him hiding anything. He's just an unreliable witness.
I'm just saying it's not like Van Zeek's to lie to win the case. What are you, us? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it definitely feels like he's pulling some really underhanded tricks, because we've already got the jury, not necessarily jury tampering, but bringing back the jury from the last time is kind of dirty. Yeah. And then, they're like, oh, don't you think it was actually this plausible explanation instead? He's playing dirty, and yeah, I do feel like it has to do with the fact that Soseki is the defendant.
Japanese.
I think it's rude.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think what, of course, frustrates me, and I should be used to this by now in this game in particular, is, of course, the jury buys it, which is like, oh, come on, but they do. And they're like, yeah, you know what? I've never been led astray before by this prosecutor or anything. So, yep, he's guilty. And we go into all that again. And then we have to go into summation examination, which we do.
Yeah, most of the jury are upset about the gas and not about the actual case.
They really are. They're barely I don't even understand how they got guilty verdicts when none of them are really paying attention to the trial.
I know.
Well, I like how I still kind of like Shakespeare. I like his movements and expressions, but also during this second part of the trial, he's like, "Yea, verily, I am a gas thief, but I plead that you remember that is one thing, and this is another thing."
Mm-hmm. And, so, the jurors... So, yeah, if you look the juror 1 and 6 are kind of talking about it, because, the first one's like, well, look, I considered all the evidence, and he's got to be guilty. And then, if you press him, you can kind of get him to say like, well, if there's other evidence you'd reconsider, right? And he goes, yeah, okay. Which is like kind of the thing Susato's pushing, when you ask her for help. And then the last juror, who I forget who that is, but
he's the guy, he's like the big guy who usually couldn't hear, but now he seems to be able to hear a lot better.
Yeah. And he was a surgeon in one of them too, right? So yeah.
Him or his twin brother.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. So so basically, and he's like, well, nothing else, if nothing else like touches lips, I guess that's it. And the thing that's like frustrating is, like we said, like juror number 2 is talking about how gas is expensive, and juror 3 is talking about how it explode, and juror 4, who was the queen bee for Alamont Gas, is like, gas rules. I don't know what the hell any of you were talking about. It's the best thing, and it's not cheap, and blah blah blah.
And capitalism, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whereas juror number 5 just says, I'm pretty sure my wife poisons my tea sometimes.
Yeah.
Which, buddy, are you okay?
No, he is not.
He's not, clearly.
If you press him on him, it turns out it just put salt in his tea. But he still thought it's poison.
Yeah, but he thinks it's poison, which is pretty funny.
Then he's upset that she doesn't even care enough to poison him properly.
Well, I mean, he still drinks it.
Yeah.
Trying to build an immunity.
Are you gonna waste tea? I mean, I'm not.
No, I'm not going to waste poison.
It's rude. If someone serves you tea, you have to drink it. That's the law? Maybe in England it is.
Coffee, tea, or poison. It's fine. Whatever. It's fine. What were we talking about? Yeah, so how do you get this friggin' jury working together?
You have to press the queen bee, which she then reveals that her worst enemies are rival companies who steal her gas.
Yeah, they just like hook up the pipes to it. Oh yeah, that's right. And there's like a method that people use to figure out if companies are doing that. I didn't really get this.
Yeah, so she doesn't want to tell us what the secret is, but juror number 3 gets a reaction out of it. And he remembers when they came to his house and did that. So what they do is they have one gas company person go into a contracted house and removes one of the lamps and blows into the gas pipe. And then they have other employees going around the neighborhood to other places that doesn't have a contract. And if they see the light flicker, then they know that they get the same gas.
Now, the way they describe it is basically when you blow into the gas pipes, it lowers the pressure of the gas going through, which causes like other lights to dim, or so you can see like if lights that aren't connected or contracted, like you said, dim, they're using gas from the same line. So you know that that's how they're, how this like scam is happening.
Yeah, and that's all well with when it's a light, but if it's a stove, then it makes the fire go out, and then the gas
blows up the pilot light.
Yeah, the gas is leaked straight in. Yeah,
I think it's basically just if you. It's delicate. If you blow a little bit, you get it to flicker. If you blow too hard, then it just it replaces all of the gas with air, and then obviously the air doesn't light. So
I was figuring it was just a regular pilot light. Like if you blow too hard, it can go out. You know what I mean? Like that's just the quick air. Whatever. It doesn't matter. The point. I mean, either way, the thing that like bugs me about this though, and what I want to talk about, because this really grinds my gears, to use a vernacular. But if you blow into the pipe, doesn't that increase the pressure? Like, shouldn't this work the other way around, where there'd be too much pressure and then other people stealing the gas would actually have their, like, lights brighten? Like, don't they have it backwards, or am I crazy?
Well, the pressure's flowing in one direction. So I guess you're applying pressure in the opposite direction.
You're introducing carbon dioxide into the pipe, right? Which... I assume means that you're leaving gaps in the gas, right?
Yeah, that was my interpretation.
Okay, that can make sense.
So like, even if it does get a little bit compressed ahead of it, then it would then have like a gap where it couldn't feed off of it.
I don't think you're really lowering the pressure. It's that you're lowering the density of the gas, which can cause the lights to go out. Pressure is probably not the right word.
Yeah. So what's in the pipe now is less purely pressurized gas and more gas, some carbon dioxide, then some gas.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you for describing science to me, Visual Novel Book Club.
Also, if the gas is coming out at a higher pressure, the fire can't keep up.
Turbo, we explained this. Sorry, what?
No,
I'm just joking. Go ahead. No, I'm just joking. What were you saying?
No,
I'm interested now.
No, I was joking too. No, I was just saying, like, if another weird science fact, if the pressure is actually too high, the fire can't like trail down fast enough, so it can burn out that way too.
I see. Well, I've certainly learned a lot about gas tonight.
Juror number 4 is upset that we're revealing trade secrets in court, but everyone else tells her that everyone already knows how they do it.
Yeah. Right.
We've seen you come into our houses and just blow into pipes.
I mean, and that's the kind of thing you would talk about with your neighbors. Like,
Right.
what on earth?
Right. So by revealing that secret, we then kind of make the connection that maybe something else passed his lips tonight, namely the gas pipe that was hanging out of the wall. Maybe he put his lips around it.
And we have evidence to show that.
We do have evidence to share that, which is the handprints, which are not legally admissible evidence because it's crackpot science and we don't know what we're doing.
It's kind of true.
But I guess you can introduce it just to install doubt in the jury.
Yeah, that's all that
pure
matters,
evidence.
right?
You're just like, hey, what about this? And they're like, okay, yeah, we'll consider it.
Yeah, and the jury seems to love Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock. Yeah.
Sherlock Holmes.
We'll just say it. Sherlock Holmes. It's Sherlock. Come on.
Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, it's fine.
Oh, fuck, now he's going to show up.
And then he appears in the mirror and
God, first Candyman and now anime Sherlock Holmes.
They don't care if it's not admissible.
Right,
They just
yeah,
point it out
exactly.
and they change the mind.
yeah, they just think it's cool.
We're introducing the possibility, and we've proven it exactly as much as Van Zieks has proven that that Shakespeare made the coins out of the tea left in the teapot.
Yeah.
So, take that.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, yeah, that's right. And now, yeah, so we get the jurors back on our side at this point, roughly, right?
We need one more.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So they're like, we got juror 1, we have to,
He needs more evidence that shows that that's actually what Shakespeare did.
yeah. And then we just introduced Saseki's testimony.
Yeah, because he said at the beginning of the trial that the same night he was almost choked to death after he went to bed.
Well, not to death. He's okay.
Right.
Almost to death.
Well, he just woke up freezing and almost suffocating because the stove went out.
Right. And he said that on the first day of trial, like, completely unprompted. That's just a thing that he mentioned happened.
Right. So, anywho, what happens next?
That gets us to 4 out of 6, not guilty.
Yeah.
So we win the thing.
Right. So then, yeah, because our new theory is, all right, we know he blows on the pipe for, this. What if somebody poisoned the pipe?
Does he, blow on the pipe?
Yeah, which I'm like, what? And Van Zieks is also like, what? And I'm like, I'm kind of with Van Zieks on this one. I don't know where you're going with this one, Arodo. But, whatever.
It's a pretty big leap, but from that point, we would have to... Obviously, he's not going to admit to that, so we have to come up with a reason why he would want to do that.
Right.
Van Zieks also, like, sort of turns this against us with, like, okay, so say someone was trying to murder him by putting lips on the gas pipe. Obviously, the only person who would know about that would be the person he was doing it to, which means Soseki tried to murder him. It's like...
Right.
Plays the trap reverse card.
Thank you. You've just given us the motive for the murder.
You walked right into my really obtuse trap, which I'm kind of shocked you did, actually. But, all right, it worked.
Jury summation your way out of this, asshole.
Yeah, and we would, I'm sure.
We would.
Yeah. Basically,
Then we have to figure out who actually poisoned the pipe.
Yeah. And we have to, and I'll admit, I didn't quite, I knew where they were going, but I didn't quite get there without help. So, who is it when that we can accuse now of actually poisoning Shakespeare.
Who has something to gain by poisoning Shakespeare besides literally everyone?
It's the one person on file who is in this chapter for no reason until now. So
Also, the only person we've seen this chapter who is in possession of poison.
Mm-hmm. It's olive green. Which I was like, really? Because I was really like, I don't think it's olive green. I think,
why did you think she was in this chapter at all?
because it's like one day after the murder.
Yeah, we just killed her.
No, I still wasn't totally convinced that she would be like whatever. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't convinced that it was going to go down this way exactly. Until, of course, we have to accuse her, according to the strategy guide. And then I'm like, oh, wow, all right, I guess she did it. Let's figure that out.
Well, if you say so, strategy guide. I mean, I don't really want to, but...
That's kind of where I was, truthfully. Because I was like, all right.
I just didn't want to bring her into this because I think she's had a hard time of it. And I don't want to bring her into court and accuse her of murder.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, Natsume has had a tough time, too. So, we're kind of screwed here. But, yeah, anyhow. So we accuse her, and then we take a short recess, I think, while we call her to the stand. Subpoena. Yeah. So then we're out in the chamber, and who should show up but, of course, our good friend Herlock Sholmes. And I think he says something funny about his absence, or he's like,
he's got a theory about oversleeping.
Yeah, that's it. Because he was like, look. I was like, I don't want to oversleep this time. So I have a theory. Why do people oversleep? Because they sleep. So you know what I'm do? I'm not going to sleep. And you know what the fuck thing is like, I've done this. I can't even give Holmes that much shit for it. It doesn't work. I've tried it.
It backfired on him. So, yeah.
Yeah, it backfired on him because, of course, he fell asleep and then couldn't go. Me, it kind of works, but then, you're groggy as fucking not really your best self, and you probably shouldn't. All right, but anyway, melatonin's awesome anyway. Anyway, so Sholmes is here now, finally.
He did do a chemistry experiment and found out that the poison in the bottle is strychnine.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, he did actually bring us genuine evidence.
Right.
That is probably not admissible, though.
Probably not, but, but we do get it in the court record, so...
Van Zieks is doing, weird stuff and... let me start that thought over again. Van Zieks...
Go for it.
Van Zieks is agreeing with his fucked up clients, and Sholmes is actually providing real evidence. What the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Has the world gone
Ridiculous.
topsy-turvy?
And in addition to that, then the... Gregson comes to us, and then the police assists us in our investigation just to keep everything sufficiently backwards.
Yeah! He's actually nice to us.
I feel like even he's like, I think this is kind of bullshit what Van Zieks is doing. I'm sorry.
Actually, this was funny. He kind of comes into the scene, and he sees that Sholmes is there, and he just, immediately leaves. And we have to be like, hey, come back.
Yeah. He is, yeah, and to be fair, he is kind of like fair is fair in the earlier on. So I feel like Gregson's kind of like, all right, I kind of owe you on this one. You know what I mean? But it's not terribly out of character. I don't know. I'm okay with him here, even knowing waiter stuff.
Right. But he shows up and gives us a case file for the Selden, that convict, that died and left the loot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if it tells us anything that we didn't already know. It tells us that he died in a cell and was discovered by his cellmate. I think might be the only piece of information we didn't have.
Well, now it's in evidence form, though.
It makes it clear that there was a cellmate who was with him when he died.
Right. Which I think, thematically, I think we all kind of knew where that was going, but now, the game's kind of all right, yeah. just so you're aware, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, let's see here. All right, so we get that. We get the capital offenders file. So Olive Green is painting in court, which is true, which is kind of funny and awesome.
Yeah, when Von Zieks is introducing him, it's like, please state your name and occupation. And Shakespeare is like, William Shakespeare, and I'm a victim. That's what I'm here for. And it's like
professional victim.
Yeah.
Unemployed.
Right. So you're unemployed, right? Exactly.
And Olive Green's like, well, I'm an artist, kind of. I mean, I'm in school and I'm terrible. I'm really bad at it. It's just so also unemployed.
Yeah.
and it's a bit. It's a good bit.
It's a good bit.
Also, her consistent painting leads to some good animations.
Yes, it's true.
Both these characters are very well animated.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Although I'm not a fan of like Shakespeare's weird, like he does like a similar thing to Farplay thing where he's like pretends like he's riding a horse or something, which I never really got, but whatever. Anyway, does he still do that? I'm not crazy, right? Anyway.
No, he does. Yeah, it's that thing to the, like he turns to the left and does like the cloppy things.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, like what's interesting is she's not like a super cooperative witness, because like there's a point where we're kind of like, well, why'd you do that? She's like, I don't have to tell you anything about this, which is interesting. So
I mean, she does kind of put it like it's, that's your job, Mr. Lawyer. Like, I don't have to tell you everything.
I mean, she is brought in because she knows, like, from the outset that we are accusing her of attempted murder.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, she certainly has reason to. I'm just saying that's like her starting. This is how she's starting things off. So
yeah.
We want her to tell us about the evening of the evening, like she got stabbed basically, and she's walking on her slow.
And then we also ask Shakespeare to say what he did that evening. That's
right. Basically, yeah, so she had a little matter to attend to, and that's it. She won't tell us, like, if you ask, like, what it is, she's like, no, I don't have to tell you that, But basically, Shakespeare's like, well, I was at the tavern for supper, and, which earlier he said he doesn't eat, but nobody points that out. And Green's like, anyway, I got stabbed and I went to the hospital, so I don't know what's going on here,
We kind of call her out on it because she says like, oh, I don't need to tell you why I was there, but like she did during the investigation phase.
Right.
She said she got a note that said, hey, meet me at this tavern, have information about Duncan Ross.
Right.
And so we just testify to that, basically. We're like, hey, but you said this. And that makes Shakespeare perk up.
Yeah.
When we say Duncan Ross. It's like, sorry, wait, what? And then like pretends not to know him.
Yeah.
But like clearly does.
Which they lived in the same building.
Insists that they were the vaguest of acquaintances.
Like this, I think, yeah, so basically she brings up the card, I think that like, that the card she was writing and stuff. And then we realize it matches the torn off envelope, which I think is like how we kind of proceed with things, let's see here.
Yeah. And one of the cool things too, at this point is that in the beginning, when she's sort of just like, kind of not participating, she keeps turning away from, her animation is that she turns away and doesn't want to acknowledge what's going on. And then when she finally gets like engaged and is like, fine, whatever, then she like will frequently use her easel as a shield and her brush as like a sword. And she like faces you like dead on, like, I'm going to take you down with this motherfucker.
Another cute thing that she does is like the two hate each other. Like they're on
really
the same
do.
stand, but they clearly hate each other. And one thing that she'll do is she'll paint a little red arrow on her palette and then like hold it up to like point to him. It's like, who the liar is? It's this guy right here.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. Yeah. It's just very
stupid
I like
liar.
her.
I was stupid.
I like this very much. This whole this interaction between the two of them.
Yeah, but it's really nice because like Shakespeare's whole thing is that he's really animated and moving around all the time, and Olive Green is just the opposite. Like she's very kind of motionless and just kind of simply turning around and not very animated.
Right.
Yeah, there's a good dynamic there.
Yeah, I enjoy this. I enjoy this cross-examination.
So the two things that we have to prove is we have to prove that, one thing that we bring up is that Shakespeare said that he was visiting a pub, and with a pub was kind of a high-end pub that served good food and drink, and not a place that he would expect to be found since he doesn't have a penny to his name. And then the second thing that we have to figure out is that Green says that she received the letter, but we can prove that the letter was in Shakespeare's house because of the broken envelope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the real thing we need to push it to move along, is that you've got to introduce the torn off envelope and the the piece of the other piece.
Right.
Right. To prove that the letter went to Shakespeare, not to Olive Green.
Yeah, and once you reverse the to and from on that, that drastically changes your interpretation of the situation, which I thought was a really interesting twist. I audibly gasped when I realized what was going on here.
But we mentioned the pub. I really like the two restaurants in this area, which they mentioned quite a lot. So there's one that's supposed to be very cheap and one supposed to be high end. But the cheap one has like water that is kind of like soup, and the leaf that is kind of like a salad, and the high end one has like high end crumbs of bread, and water that is clean.
Love me some ice soup.
Oh, Mr. Fancy with your clear water. Ho, ho, ho.
Which was the one that had the mushy peas? Was that the high end one or the low end one?
Yeah, I think the slug in the salad.
I love that name too, the slug in the salad. That's a really good like English pub name for like a jokey sort of thing about murder.
Yeah, it was like the slug in the salad and then like the grubby grubber or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Are those like Holmes references? Like the slug in the salad feels very.
It sounds like it. Yeah.
I don't know that one at all.
I don't think so because they're not the same in Japanese. So if they are, then they're like localization references. But I don't think they are.
The mystery of the slug in the salad.
Slug in the salad seems like directly jokey. That seems like directly jokey to me. You know what I mean? Like if you're trying to make fun of English pubs and not like an actual one.
Yeah, I think there's always like the claw and the hammer. Like they're always like that noun and noun pub standard.
Right.
I don't think we mentioned it last week, but what is it? Dagros, his name? The boyfriend?
Huh?
Is it Dagros?
Oh, Duncan Ross. Duncan Ross.
Duncan Ross.
Duncan Ross. That is a Sherlock Holmes reference. It's from the Red-Headed League, I think. I think I read.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, we mentioned it earlier.
I thought it was a cookie reference.
Duncan Rospa.
Which I like because I think what is supposed to be happening here is that Iris is writing the Sherlock Holmes stories, and when she needs a character, she just picks a name from people who she knows.
Names were changed to protect the people that we convicted for murder.
He'll do. So anyway, they redo their testimony, and Chancellor's like, I remember, I got this note. I went to the Slug and Salad to get information on Duncan Ross, I guess. Or I went there. Nobody came. I left. The end. And then Green's like, I didn't sneak into his room or anything. Like, he's the bad guy here, not me. Duh.
Why would I sneak into his room?
Yeah, I don't even like the guy. Much less want to spend time in his room. Sheesh.
She still insists that the card was meant for her, and she doesn't know why Shakespeare had a similar card.
To be fair, she doesn't have to explain it. That's like our job.
What are you defending her now? It's like our,
Well, yeah. I mean, she's had a hard time.
Well, she has, but so is Soseki. I'm sure she didn't intend for him to get caught up in this mess, but them's the breaks.
Yeah.
Welcome to England. Here's your passport.
What if it was an accident?
Get the hell out of here, Pullahoke. Oh, sorry. What were we talking about?
So she asks, like, why? Like, I absolutely wasn't there. Why would I be? And we're like, to poison him, like to murder this man. And so we accuse her of putting the poison on the gas pipe. And that she sent him the letter to just get him out of his house.
Which is fun because everybody seems to be trying to get everyone else out of this house. Who no one wants to be there.
Right, yeah. It's just a common theme. Fucking Garrett Ebb and his terrible landlording.
And I think we have another conversation where it's like, okay, but if she put the poison then like why did Shakespeare only almost die like 2 days ago if this happened 6 days ago?
Right. And I think that's when Van Zeek's like pipes up. It's like, actually, I think I might know why. Which is like, oh, you're helping? And it's like, because the whole like thing was Olive was stabbed, so there was a lot of police like presence around. So if you wanted to do anything suspicious, you actually could not.
Yeah.
Because the police.
And after that, Saseki was in prison for a couple of days.
Right.
Right, so he wouldn't have to do anything because the person you wanted gone is in prison and possibly going to get hanged.
Yeah. Well, depending on how Olive Green's doing, I guess, What a friggin' busy day for Olive Green. Holy shit.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry, go
Seems
ahead.
she's had a rough day.
Yeah, well.
We do have to give a reason for why she'd want to kill Shakespeare. And that's where we can put, show the Duncan Ross picture.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, right. So I think, at this point, the plot's kind of coming together, right?
Yeah.
So...
as soon as we know the twist, then I think everything just sort of falls into place, because I think
exactly.
the poison on the pipe thing came out of left field, but once you see the twist and you're like, oh wait, yes, especially the letter twist, you're like, oh yeah, okay, everything else makes sense.
Now, I like the way that this is revealed because when she kind of gets found out and she goes on her spiel, she's, it was all obviously very sad. They were arranged to be married, and he was actually looking for another place because, he said how crappy it was and how the gas goes out, and she said it's dangerous, you've got to get out of there, and he was getting ready to do that.
He was looking for another place, and she said it's so dangerous that there are extra rooms in the house I live in. Tonight you can come here. And he's like, no, we said we wouldn't do anything until we graduated.
It's we didn't want to tell. I think they didn't want to tell her parents because she still lived with her parents, and so it's we don't want to deal with your parents and everything. So no, I'll find one on my own. And then he died that night.
Yeah.
That's gonna be an awkward Thanksgiving.
And at first she wasn't sure if it was maybe it really was just a terrible accident.
Well, we can tell that later, so maybe we should finish the trial first.
Oh, okay, well let's go over it later then, I guess.
What I like is that the moment it's revealed that she did poison, or it's suspected she did poison, that's when Shakespeare starts to lose the act at some points.
Yeah.
Shakespeare act.
He drops it as soon as you're you make him. You'd be like, listen, there's too much behind this, and he's like, okay. He's and he just slumps, and he doesn't animate anymore, and then he stops talking.
Even before that, whenever he's angry at Olive, he drops it
He
for a
does
line.
drop it.
Yeah, I think it's when we say that she entered his apartment. He's like, you did what? I mean,
Yeah.
thou didst not what?
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
It's pretty great, too.
but where we were was that now we have to show why Shakespeare was trying to kill the people upstairs and in the first place. And that's when we can show the new files we have about Selden. And we basically figured out that Shakespeare must have been Selden's cellmate, and that Selden must have hidden his loot in the apartment somewhere.
Olive also, she says I think she first tries to claim that she wasn't trying to murder anybody. She was just looking for evidence.
Mm-hmm.
And so she actually found the same cache that we did under the floorboards that had the photo and the newspaper clipping and the empty tin. And she's like, yeah, no, when I found it wasn't empty. It had this key in it that she's been wearing around her neck. And I think that's also when Shakespeare gets mad and drops the act.
Yeah, that's where Shakespeare really loses it.
Yeah, he loses his completely.
I inherited that fair and square.
Yeah. I inherited. I mean, so.
Yeah, but after all of that, they still wanted me to anything, which means that Saseki must have done it, apparently. and the way we get Shakespeare to admit it is to we basically we're going to find the loot first, and then he can't have it anymore. And he still thinks that we will never find it because it's hidden really well. And then we have to show that we do have a way to locate it.
We do. Yep. And it's, of course...
Sholmes.
Sholmes's wonderful new invention, which is probably Iris's, which is the skin detector or whatever, you know. And at that, we can go through and figure out, hey, you know what? I bet I can find out where people have touched in here. And
Sholmes actually comes up to the stand, and he knows Venzix from before.
Yep, that's right. He's like, just give me like half hour, I can find that.
But we do need to. The final thing we have to do is to. We need something that Selden touched because.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and that doesn't make a lot of sense because it's the key. But that key has gone through so much since Selden died, so is there anything left on it?
Yeah, that's probably covered with Olive's fingerprints now.
Doesn't, like, one of her idol animations, like, doesn't she kind of, like, fiddle with it?
Is literally grasping it, yeah.
Yeah. She's constantly touching that thing.
Yeah, well, there's a lot wrong with this whole thing, I guess, but, you know. It's enough. It's enough for you know, it would almost, I think it would actually have been like, spoiler alert, it doesn't go down this way. It would have been better if it turned out that, that's the case. There's no way they would have gotten it from that key, but it's enough to convince Shakespeare to be like, you know.
It's a good enough of a bluff.
Exactly. Yeah.
And his breakdown is kind of terrifying. Like he starts shambling around like a zombie. Like his irises get all small, and
it's like he keeps jumping back and forth between like the weird like smiling poker face that he has into something that's like, it's like a mask that's slipping off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
as usual, like really good artwork and everything for the series, I mean. But so that's well, then I guess this is where it gets into the whole, like, okay, here's why I did it kind of thing, right? Or here's...
Yeah, and the animation right at that point is so good because he has to do like his, like, there's like a tilt and pan, and he goes like fully across the scene to one side and then fully across to the other, and then like it looks like he gets shot and he just like flips up in the air.
The gems on the side of his like vest explode into confetti, so it looks like a gunshot.
Oh, that's what that was.
Yeah, because like at the very last scene,
I was like, how are they explaining the confetti here?
Yeah, that was like the very last scene. He doesn't have any of the gems on the side. It's very dramatic, as is appropriate for Shakespeare.
Yes.
And I think at that point he has completely dropped the affectation and is just explaining, you know. Yeah, no, I was doing it. I tried to move into the apartment, but I couldn't. And then, then they had to redo all the ductwork because of the murdering I did. He insists he wasn't trying to murder him. He was just trying to scare him out. But he still murdered a man.
Just a little murder.
And then tried to do it again.
Exactly.
Maybe this time it'll go okay.
Maybe,
I think the only new thing that we learn here is that he did ask to move apartments when the apartment was empty, but Gary didn't let him because he didn't pay his rent for 3 months.
Yeah.
The second time, which, is kind of a problem.
Yeah. And then by the time, it's weird because he says, like, by the time that the repair work was done, it was too late, which I guess maybe he found some money because he clearly wanted to try again. Because he like blames Saseki for swooping in just right moment.
Right.
Like he had another chance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then we also hear Olive's story, which we described most of it already. The way she found out that it was him was that after Duncan died, she got obsessed with it and she went to the street, and one day she saw Saseki coming out of the apartment, and she followed him and to the cheap pub, and she overheard him telling his story about how he was almost choked to death every night.
Yeah, because he was cursed.
Yeah, so that's when she started getting suspicious. And she put the poison on the pipe because that was the way to find out. If nothing happened, then it means Shakespeare was innocent. And if Shakespeare died, then it means he was guilty and he deserved to die.
Which, like, I do respect as a gambit. Except for whatever poor gas inspector comes along next.
Right, yeah.
That's the slight hole in her plan.
Right.
But other than that, I really like it.
I did too. You know what I really like too? She has a bit of a confession because she starts off with like, she was like, I'm kind of gambling on it, meaning that like if this was not a murder ploy, then there's really no harm, no foul. Again, yeah, like that whole notwithstanding.
Yeah, aside from that one little.
Yeah, right. But like also then she says, but actually, if I'm being honest about it, I was kind of hoping it would work out. You know what I mean? Which like I kind of liked because it's true. You know what I mean? In a way, like she's not like a bad person for that per se, but it's almost like just wanting that closure, or at least like that sort of, I guess, revenge you'd call it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, closure and revenge in one tidy package is, not easily come across. So I can understand why it would have felt tempting.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe a lesser person would have judged her, but not me. Lesser person, whatever. The point is, I'm yay olive green, I guess. See you in jail.
And then there is a nice thing from Naruto at the end where he says that he's glad that he stopped him from committing suicide, and that he's also happy that Shakespeare didn't die for her sake, because then she would have been a murderer.
Now off to the gallows.
Yeah. Let somebody else take care of that. I wonder if he has that smile when they do it.
I don't think. Oh, well, I don't know. Probably not. So, anyway, I guess things ended on kind of a happy note, you know? And, yeah.
I mean, I guess as happy as you can get when there's two attempted murderers on the stand.
Look, I mean, the one we like is just gonna go to jail for a little bit, you know? Like, probably be cellmates with Gina. You know, or, well, no, wait, this is in the past. So eventually, maybe they'll, I don't know, eventually,
maybe,
but you know.
Yeah.
She could be cellmates with,
Mrs.
with Miss Garrideb. I'm sure that would be pleasant.
They've got a little support club in there.
Mm-hmm.
The accidental murderesses of Briar Street. They had it come. Sorry.
Except one accidentally murdered the other.
Thank you for being a friend.
Oh, brother. So, we're not done, though, with the chapter, because we have one last thing, which is basically like...
Well, first we go out to the chambers, and...
The whole scene with, Saseki.
Does anyone remember that this whole trial was a flashback? 'Cause it was.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
No, but that we once again hear that Saseki decided to go back to Japan, and it's definitely not because he's afraid of the Reaper, but because he wants to.
Yeah. I hope that we don't see him again.
No. Come on,
I
don't be
think he's
stupid.
overstayed his welcome bit.
A little bit of that guy goes a long way.
Oh, I thought you meant the Reaper. Like Von Zeeks. Like, I hope we don't see him again. Like, yeah, probably not.
I hope Lord Van Zeeks goes away for no reason and then doesn't come back.
Yeah, if there's one guy whose plot is completely resolved.
Hope there's no judge either. I hope it's just us in the courtroom.
He has to go back to his home planet.
So, Pennsylvania. But,
Yeah, but then we have a little narration from Naruto that says that he thinks that from the future.
Well, no. First, we have to go back.
Oh yeah, we go find the loot.
We go find the loot.
Yeah, well, we introduced the scene by having Naruto say that probably the reason that the Cholms didn't want us to tell anyone about it is because of what happened the next day when we went looking for the loot.
Right. Yeah, that's right. He introduces us too, and they're spoken. Like, we don't get the anime scenes, but they are voiced.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we find the loot. It took Holmes an entire day and not the 30 minutes that he promised, but he did find it at the end.
He's very proud of himself. Like, only took me a day. We're like, but you said, nah, whatever.
It was in the ceiling, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's a large collar with diamonds all around it.
And
a
little bit more in there. Upon further examination, there's dark stains that sure look like blood. Actually, they look, the animation, it just looks like straight up blood. Like, they're not even like that dark. They're kind of like multicolor red.
Yeah, like it looks like it's fresh, like it was just there yesterday.
And there's also a big letter B with a crown on top of it.
Bowser, oh my god.
Bowser like Joker. It really does. My God.
Banksy at it again.
Killed him.
So the next time we have to defend Bowser.
About time. It's like,
Is this like the gender swap version of the Bowsette crown?
I didn't intend to have killed him. I just wanted to see if... Oh, wait, that's a terrible Italian. I'm so sorry. I'm even part Italian. I should know better, but whatever. Anyhow, yes, the super collar. What the heck?
And
happens next?
Iris is excited that she has like new stories to write now. But then Sholmes tells her that she can't write the second one.
Like Sherlock Holmes looks at this collar and he just the blood goes out of his face and he's super serious.
Yeah.
It's not just Sholmes, it's also Gregson.
Sholmes tells Gregson, to take it away.
Yeah, like, oh, this is evidence. You probably should remove this.
Oh, yeah, I probably should. Let me just take it away.
It's like, yes, of course, absolutely, I will take care of that.
Because it's my job.
And that's when Holmes kind of lays down the law. And it's weird because Iris is all like, oh, this will be a great story and everything. He's like, nope, gonna have to say no on this one. And then she but like, apparently the relationship is such that she's like, okay, that's it. And she just shrugs, she kind of slumps her shoulders and says, of course.
No, Iris, that's the symbol of my famed arch nemesis, Moriarty.
Iris does say that she thinks she recognizes the B emblem, but she can she can put a finger on it.
And like Naruhodo will never think back like, oh, Baskerville, I'll learn about that. Maybe that'll be the B. But, we all know.
That's right. It's a hound's collar and that poor dog.
That poor monster dog, I think is how that goes. Or something. I don't know that story. No,
And then we get a little voice acted speech from Naruhodo where he says that it's going to be, I think, another 3 months before everything's going to be revealed.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Oh yeah, and he says that it has to do with the fair, the Crystal Tower.
He says he agrees with what Holmes' decision was, and that they wouldn't find out for 2 more months until an incident that took place at the Great Exposition.
So tune in next time.
2 months is exactly time for Susato to come back from Japan.
It's 2 months right after her letter. That's what it was. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So see you next time. Well, actually, no, we aren't this. So let me. So do we have anyone have any theories on what's going on with the Hound of the Baskervilles in this?
The only thing is that we know that Selden is a character from Hound of the Baskervilles. And so, like, and I guess that doesn't really tell us all that much because obviously he had the loot that was this, golden encrusted dog collar. So he's obviously linked to it. But
right.
that's all I have.
My only guess is that Sholmes and what's the other guy's name? Sholmes and Gregson? Yeah.
Wilson?
Oh,
no,
Gregson,
not Wilson, yeah. Gregson. They were probably involved in something like some heavy shit where they were against this super bad top tier criminal that they had to kill. Otherwise, some really bad stuff was going to happen, and then they tried to hide it. That's my guess.
If you think Sholmes is a secret murderer?
I mean, maybe. Or maybe not specifically murder. Maybe they just allowed the bad guy to die without doing anything.
I think the case just isn't quite solved yet. There's still because it had to do with Watson or Wilson. The
just say Watson is okay. It's whatever. Say Watson or Wilson. I think we'll all get it.
It had to do with Daddy Watson because he was also involved somehow. And I think it was implied that was why he had to go to Japan, maybe? So it seemed to me like there was something unresolved about the Hound of the Baskervilles case, and he might have had notes on that Susato read because she she had the title Hound of the Baskervilles.
I absolutely love, by the way, the theory that that there's some kind of Ra's al Ghul person where Holmes is like, I don't have to kill you, but I don't have to save you, and that's what happened. But Hound of the Baskervilles was what? Like the dog? It's like about a dog they think's a monster. I know we've gone on this in the podcast, but like is really just like a hound that's like kind of given glow in the dark paint and that whole treatment, right?
Correct.
It's
yeah.
like the basic
It's a really
idea.
big dog.
Right.
Yeah. So it does exist, and it does actually. I think it, at some points it does maul people. You know, it's one of those hounds that's like trained, like denied food and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole thing is trying to. It's all about inheritance. And Selden sort of just features as definitely a murderer, but it's sort of like a red herring character.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
If you have dogs, don't paint them in glow-in-the-dark paint and train them to kill people.
Yeah.
I mean, more the second. Like, you shouldn't do glow-in-the-dark paint, but if you have to do one...
Yeah, if you have to do one or the other, I guess.
I mean, if it's hypoallergenic, who cares?
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Well, I can't possibly solve this groovy mystery.
But I think Rizal had a right point where, like, this idea that, you know, we probably don't have enough evidence yet to know what's going on. I think there's going to be a couple more characters introduced here who we're going to kind of open things up as soon as this incident takes place at the Great Exhibition.
Well, Naruhodo's really hyping it up at the end of this chapter. Like, it's so amazing, and we have to just see it next time.
Yeah, that was a Dan Brown cliffhanger.
You're none too oppressed, but all right.
Well, for next time, I'm looking at the chapter breakdown here. I think what we want to do is do the initial investigation part, and then the trial up until the save point, the first save point.
So like trial part 1 usually. That's kind of what that maps to.
Yeah. So the investigation, which seems to be just one part of investigation. There's no save points in it, and then the first part of the trial.
And we'll get like a to be continued kind of thing in the middle.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice. All right, folks. Well, in that case, same bat time, same bat channel. What? Good night.